Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
I guess Caligula was a great man too.
We've got Chris.
Useless Goldbreaker.
And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. We are reading some comics. We're reading some Captain America. It's been a while since we read Captain America. How long has it been?
I think since like June-ish.
Like 6 months or something? Yeah. So we have been very slowly reading through the Ed Brubaker series where Captain America died and Bucky came back. It's very out of order, but you know what I'm talking about. We are currently
spoiler,
reading...
Captain America hasn't died.
He hasn't died. Dude, you're right. He's not even dead in this, and he's not going to die.
Hey, don't put these bad thoughts out in the world.
He's in comics right now. There's no way he's possibly died in the last 20 years.
Yeah. But no, we are getting into issues 15 through 17, along with the 65th anniversary special that was released. So just 4 issues of Captain America here today. But we'll get back to it real soon. And then, of course, we are continuing our long read of The Life and Times of Scrooge Mcduck. We're at the last issue.
Whoa.
We're at issue number 12, the finale. Whoa. Ducks. Yeah, we'll get to those ducks. And, of course, stick around to the end. We'll announce, of course, as always, what we're doing next time and the beginning of our next long read. Should be very exciting. But, yeah, let's start talking about Captain America. So what happened in these first 2 arcs that we read? Bucky is back from the dead, but they're like... you know, it's not super confirmed yet, right?
No, they did. They definitely confirmed it in one issue. Okay, they're like, there's absolutely no doubt of it. He's back.
Got to be Bucky.
Mm-hmm. And
he kills Nomad, the former sort of Bucky replacement. And the other, I guess, big thing you need to know is that Red Skull dies in the first issue, but we find out at the end of issue 6 or 7. He has somehow gotten into the brain of the guy who killed him, Lufkin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all the moving pieces that are.
Well, the first issue here, Crossbones is a kind of big henchman for Captain America, and I think he kidnapped a woman some point in the previous 14 issues. Who will learn?
Yes, in the second volume, yeah.
Yes, and we were just like, what is this? Why is he kidnapping a woman? But this first issue, let's jump right into it here. Captain America number 15 really places a pretty heavy focus on this woman that has been kidnapped by Crossbones.
There's no Captain America in this issue.
At all? You're right. Nope. Wow. So Crossbones is basically holding her captive and trying to convince her that she is the daughter of the Red Skull. Sin is like her villain name. Her name is Cynthia Schmidt. Sin. But she is under the impression that she is just like a normal lady, and he's like, you got to undo all that shield brainwashing. And we get a lot of flashbacks throughout all this. We see Red Skull in the past with his new daughter, and he's mad that it's not a boy, so he's going to throw this baby into the ocean.
Was is this? We need to kill this woman. I don't like her.
Yeah. But there's a woman there who works for the Red Skull, Susan Scarbo. What do they call her later? She's got like a name. Night Mother, is that right? Yeah, Night Mother. She's like, no, don't throw this baby away. I'll raise her and I'll make her a worthy heir for you, all that kind of stuff. And Red Skull's like, all right, but just make sure she suffers. She's got to suffer like I suffered. Cool. Good plan. So this baby,
which is very much like a Boys from Brazil kind of concept. That was the movie where they cloned a bunch of Hitlers, and then they were like, well, you can't just clone Hitler. You gotta like make him have like the same miserable life, so he'll turn into Hitler. Same concept, I guess.
Why were they trying to make another Hitler?
They were Nazis, like in the 70s. Gregory Peck's in it. Steve Guttenberg's in it. You know, the 1-2 punch of the Peck and the Gut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so little by little, Crossbones is trying to he's really just kind of torturing this poor lady. He's doing all sorts of just really treating her like absolute crap. And she's starting to have dreams where she maybe remembers Shield injecting her with someone, but it's not fully coming back to her. They're doing some knife throwing tests or whatever, where it's like, yeah, you're really good at throwing knives. Just throw this knives, and she's like, what? But we get a sort of her backstory a little bit and how she came to be, though, because the Red Skull, when the Red Skull found out that he was dying, he put her in an aging machine, and because she was only 9 years old, and he's like, no, I got to get this heir ready to go now. And ages her ahead, and also meanwhile this machine is filling her brain with Red Skull's education, and so she's grown up to be. That's a pretty messed up character.
I love how Brubaker can seriously just like make all of these characters go through the just matter of fact, like speak about all the bullshit that's happened to them and all the weird continuity, and somehow being like, yeah, this all happened. I acknowledged it happened. It doesn't matter to the story. Shut up. We're like, wasn't she 9 and then wasn't she older? It's like, she'll de-aged her. Okay, that happened in between then and now. It's fine. Move on. But it did happen. You clearly had a fucked up childhood. So I guess that'll add some character traits to you. Somehow he makes it work and just be like, acknowledge it. But then I'm over here like, I've never read this. That sounds super interesting. Thank you for telling me about this. I'm smarter now.
Captain America issue 290 is one of the first appearances of all of this stuff. 1984, all of these concepts first get introduced.
Yeah, at one point Red Skull was like, wow, you were better at throwing knives when you were older. And she's just like, what the hell? What are you talking about? How does that make But yeah, no, when S.H.I.E.L.D. found her, I guess S.H.I.E.L.D. really wanted to de-age her, which that way, why would you do that, S.H.I.E.L.D.? That just seems like it's setting her up for even more complications.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of giving her back her childhood. I don't know.
I don't know.
This is also like shows like panels like the Red Skull, like old and frail. Like, yeah, he was that way at one point. He got better.
Yeah, I like Red Skull looking like Scrooge Mcduck. Just kind of on his cane. Yeah.
He is kind of like Scrooge Mcduck. He's like, she should suffer.
Yeah, they're very similar characters. But then we have, she kind of goes, I'm actually pretty good. Oh, yeah, Crossbones says you should be happy that the Red Skull is dead now because you'd be a big old embarrassment to him, huh? And she gets mad and throws the knife perfectly. And then she attacks him, but she's still not a good fighter. She starts breaking down and crying. Crossbones doesn't like it. She just wants to be free. Crossbones says, hey, I'll free you if you kill this random dude I have over here. And she can't do it, so of course Crossbones kills the guy instead, as we expected. We get a waterboarding scene. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
This is 2006, man. It's all the rage.
We were all waterboarding back then, all of us.
We didn't know. We didn't know. It was. We didn't know it was a war crime. How are we to know?
How are we to know? It's just water, right?
And boarding. I love surfing.
That's good. That sounds fun. Waterboarding is surfing.
Jesus Christ.
But is that a bad? Okay. So Crossbones is like talking. Crossbones is also a real creep in this because when he's talking about how she got like aged forward, he was like, "Yeah, you're pretty hot.
You were a hot 9-year-old." And I'm like, and there's that limit where I'm like, you are a terrorist who just waterboarded somebody. Yeah, this is the part where I draw the line. No, this is not good. Commenting on a 69-year-old, no. I don't like that. I'm okay with everything else.
And then during the waterboarding, he's like, yeah, I kind of envisioned that you and me would have a kid and that we would like go on to carry on the Red Skull's legacy and all that, blah, blah, blah. But this waterboarding appears to not work immediately, but it does seem to work because she wakes up in the middle of the night, puts a knife against Crossbone's throat, and then they bone. And I think that's where the issue ends, yeah? Yeah. So Sin is back. And right into the next issue, they're like they're a classic bank robbing duo here. Was there anything else we got to say about number 15 before we dive straight into it? It really felt like a quick sort of a prequel issue before we got into the main stuff here.
Yeah, I will say, and it's kind of a comment on this issue and the next issue a little bit. I don't like the pacing of this. I don't think it's good superhero comics. I know it just makes me an old man who's yelling at a cloud, but like this should be broken up into 3 parts and spread over a story that features our main characters in some way. To just do like 25 pages of just Crossbones, I'm like, this is too much. Like I get it. He's bad. He's like pro-fascist. He's like, it is funny too because like the things he says where he's basically like he's pro-fascist because he's anti-neoliberal. I'm like, well, I guess that's the allure of fascism. You do understand, like, but it's just like, okay, I get it. He's very bad. He's also a pedophile. Okay, we get it. He's bad.
Yeah. I think that's where this dividing line between like this is a chapter of a book goes versus like an individual product that you purchase.
Right. That's my thing is like, if this is like 5 or 6 pages split up into 3 of like Captain America, like he could be fighting anybody. He could be fighting Batroc the Leaper again. I think he fought him recently, so maybe not. But he could just be fighting anybody for like a 2-part story that's just sort of, pushing the ball forward a little bit. I just don't like spending, this is before comics were $5 a piece, but even still, it's just like, if I bought this monthly, I'd be like, I'm less interested in this Bucky story now, because it's not, I don't really like these characters at all. Like, I know I'm not supposed to like them,
right?
But that's all we have is these 2 characters for an entire issue. So
what's interesting? We're gonna kind of get like the opposite of that afterwards, because the Captain America annual like goes back and then fills in information of what we saw from these other 2 comics that we're going to get to, which is we'll talk about that when we get there. But
I wish they had somehow. I mean, it's probably just a timing issue, because the special has very good artists. But I wish they had been able to work in those, like, because they're split up chapter. I think 6 chapters. If you had done like 12 pages of pushing the story forward and then putting in some of this, it would have gone down a lot easier.
Which is how the last volume worked, where I felt like there was, or maybe even the first one, there was like significant page count given to like World War II adventure, and then like pushing the story forward like for 5 pages, which is kind of what I like about this run sometimes, where it gets distracted. Also, though, like, I think like we know where this story's ending, and it's just because it's just these 2 characters, and I don't like, you have to remember plot lines. I'm kind of over them, like in general, that are reliant on a character like looking at somebody and being like, you need to remember who you were. I'm done with it. And 24, 25 pages, however long this was, like, of putting that page count just is too much. Like, this is an 8-page story. This is a 10-page story at most.
Right.
It doesn't need to be 24 pages, except to pad out page count.
Yeah, you're totally right, Vince. Because at the end of the day, like, again, if you are a Captain America fan, as soon as the girl got kidnapped, if you introduced it to the next issue, the issue we're about to talk about, and you're just like, oh, she's evil now, you'd be like, oh, that's who that was. You don't even really need this story.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need this, like, oh, remember, it's I guess supposed to be a reflection of Bucky, but I don't think it really works as a very good one. I don't know. I just, again, maybe I'm just being in a bad mood or something, but I was like, I don't really, especially as like, if you put this at the beginning of a collection, you're like, here we go, chapter 3, let's go.
Right.
That's true.
That being said,
something where I was like, oh boy, comics.
That being said, I do like Sin. I like her a lot, and she's going to be like completely like mischaracterized in Fear itself as the main villain of that in a few years. So,
well let's keep going with.
Unlike you, Vince, I stay away from Sin. I lead a pure life.
I live in sin. Live a life of sin.
Live in it. All right, let's keep going with Captain America here. Like we said, Sin and Crossbones are now this Bonnie and Clyde kind of couple. They're super lovey-dovey while they rob banks. And
Bonnie and Clyde's a good characterization. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. That's absolutely what it is.
They kill a bunch of innocent bystanders. There's one innocent bystander that Sin recognizes because he's a little bit of a Poindexter, and he's been at every one of the banks they've robbed. And so she kills him, and they follow, like, he was running to his car, and they like look in his car, and they find a like a hazmat helmet. It's an AIM helmet, the AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics folks.
Yeah, the B suit that the AIM people wear.
So we'll see that come into play a little bit later here. Meanwhile, we finally see Cap. Sharon is filling Cap in on how Sin is back, and Maria, there's a lot of exposition here about how
there's
Maria
a lot. Yeah, Nick Fury's left Shield, which is weird because we were just commenting on the last episode, I think in like issue 14, how it was still like the David Hasselhoff, not Sam Jackson looking Nick Fury, or did
yeah,
right? That's when that changeover happens later.
In like 5 years from now, from this
right.
comic.
We noted that I think in maybe in Agents of Atlas is where it changed. Somewhere it changed.
Yeah.
But either way, like Nick Fury has gone AWOL in the like 2 issues since we last read this because there was like a secret war event that Bendis and Gabriel Del did that took like I would say like 3 or 4 years to do 6 issues.
It took forever.
Oh,
And
yeah, that sucked.
Right. And like in the meantime, like characters who were in like the first 3 issues, like Hawkeye died. And so they're like, well, when does this take place in time? Like, I don't know.
Nobody knows. But yeah, we got like Cap has started the new Avengers now. Things are a little bit weird between them, but none of this is really super important for this specific story. Other than that, they're just like, hey, there was maybe a Bucky sighting in Iowa, so maybe we should like head out there and do some digging, and maybe we'll also catch up with Sin and Crossbones, and we'll just have a little road adventure. Cool. So they go to Pillsbury, Iowa. There was like an explosion or something there at a building, and Bucky was maybe seen around the crime. They're asking around. They're showing some pictures, and everything is just like seeming super weird about this town. Like everybody's real shifty, not wanting to answer their questions. What do they notice that like this building that got burned down is instantly like being rebuilt, like kind of super quickly, and it seems like too small of a town for them to be like up on it so quick. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. The cops all seem to like not super. Lots of it.
Yeah, it's like a small town with no industry to speak of, and yet they're like, how is this doing so well? Like, it's sort of a commentary on the state of Middle America. That's like, what is this town's secret that it's like thriving? And of course they find out.
I was wondering that though, like in other towns, like they don't have factories and stuff that seem to be doing okay. Like, what's the deal? Do people like I guess drive into the main city, like in Medina or all the San Antonio suburbs where I live? I guess, or are they relying on like outside tourism to be like, oh, this is an Apple town. We're gonna go buy Apple kitsch stuff and go buy nonsense like that. Not Apple computers, but like Apple pies. Is that where they get their money? Like, what does a normal small town do? I know money has to be going. It can't just be them passing money around.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the Poteet Strawberry Festival. Are they gonna?
Right. What is Poteet doing?
Yeah. What are they doing?
This is me like showing my complete like lack of knowledge, I guess.
We got to go digging. Maybe they got secrets.
Well, the secret is, Vince. Every single mid-sized town in the country is secretly a paramilitary operation run by supervillains.
So you're saying when we go to the Poteet Strawberry Festival that we are secretly funding terrorism?
No. Probably. I mean, that's their
maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah, it's just like the people that are like right next to those people are probably terrorists. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Good to know. So anyways, they go check in at their hotel. Steve notices like a black and white picture in the background, and the hotel owner says, yeah, it's from the original owner in the 50s with his wife. And Steve's like, I don't know. I maybe recognize that. It's nothing though. This lady later says that was her dad, but why would she call him the original owner with his wife? That's her parents. Right?
It's amazing. I guess Steve is, Bucky is like his best friend and everything, but I wouldn't remember this.
I would not remember. We'll find out who this is in a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't remember it.
Like if I found out that one of my friends from like decades ago had a girlfriend who then lived a whole life, and so I mean this picture wasn't taken when she was a teenager.
Yeah. How would you? God.
Like there's no chance. I would be like, oh well.
We'll get back to that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, Steve is a good friend.
Yeah, I watched all of that Ryan Reynolds Free Guy movie, and it took me forever to realize, like, it's like, oh, that's the person from Killing Eve and The Last Duel. Both two things I like. And I was like, she looks familiar. I don't know where she's from. I spent 2 hours with her.
Literally a person you've seen in other things in the last year, and you're like,
in the last 3 months.
You're not a super soldier. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
That is true. I like the scene in this. Is it this issue where he dodges? I think it's next issue where he dodges bullets.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I just see things faster.
Yeah. Yep. That's just how it goes.
Maybe his memory's the same way. He just remembers things faster.
He remembers faster. Yeah. So they've got this list of witnesses from the cops that they're going around, and they head to this bartender. They head to a bar, and they're asking the bartender about the explosion. He freaks out instantly. Doesn't want to answer any of their questions. Doesn't even charge them for the drink. So they're like, yeah, this guy's lying. But they sit down and talk with some drunk who describes what he saw, and he talks about Bucky fighting some big metal spider thing.
Yeah, he's fighting one of the Guardians from the Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Yep, looks just like that. But like afterwards, Steve is so happy to consider this like proof that Bucky was here, and he kisses Sharon, who accuses him of being drunk, but he's just happy, and
he doesn't get drunk. He says,
"No, yeah," he says, "Yeah, I don't get." But while they're asleep, Steve is having some old-timey dreams in the middle of the night, and he wakes up and he recognizes the picture. But there's also guns on them. Oh no! It's a bunch of those AIM dudes in hazmat suits. Oh no!
This isn't the robot from the later story, but though.
The robot from the later story?
No.
It's a different robot in this.
Yeah, like I said, this is the Guardian from Zelda, not the like a Mazo style, like old timey, like metal armor.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a different robot. Yeah. But anyways, these AIM guys show up, but they don't want to kill Captain America. They want to ask him for help. What?
Yeah,
that's
why you're asking for help.
Yeah. What a great cliffhanger, though. We are terrorists, and we need your help.
Yeah. Wow.
And of course, I buy into it. I'm not thinking it's a trap.
I wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be a trap either. Was it?
No.
I think some.
Well, no, it was a double trap.
For help.
It
wasn't a trap by AIM. It was a trap by Crossbones.
The bad AIM people. We'll learn next issue. The bad AIM people knew that these people were trying to defect and then let them do it.
Let's just get to it. Let's get to it. So these hazmat dudes are all worried because Sin and Crossbones have taken over their secret lab that is underneath the whole town.
They are doing terrorist things that are against our goodwill of our terrorist organization.
Yeah. This whole town has either A, been scared into silence, or B, they're on the payroll. And so it's just like, I still don't understand how this town exists with not everybody being on the payroll. Like, some people just live here, I guess, and they're cool with there being a secret terrorist lab underneath. Cool.
I guess some people don't know.
Or don't want to know. They don't want to know how the sausage is made. This is how the Poteet Strawberry Festival.
Yeah, if you control the press and all the local government, like, who's going to tell you about this secret organization?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the drunk.
That's true. Yeah, just the drunk. Like, these AIM folks are like, yeah, these people, some dude's been busting up our shit all over the place. But like, also AIM is always kind of a mess because there's splinter groups like kind of going off and doing their own.
They are, because they're like aid and other things, right?
Yeah, raid and all that kind of stuff. But so one of their guys was following Crossbones, hoping they would lead them to raid, but they got caught and killed. And that brought Sin and Crossbones to their AIM facility where they like killed a bunch of them. Some of them joined up with Sin and Crossbones. The ones that are talking to Cap like hid and ran and asked for help. But they're like, yeah, there's enough weaponry down there to level a city, so it's kind of a problem. So we have Cap and Sharon. They go down there. They get jumped by all the
Shield is immediately there. Like, they've got like a Shield backup team like right away.
Yeah. And so they start heading down there. They get jumped by the AIM scientists. A nice big fight scene here. I like this scene where Sin makes somebody activate a bunch of like murder robots. And she's very impatient, so she like kills the guy who is activating them, and then they wake up and don't recognize her, so they think she's an enemy. Yeah, good stuff. I like that she at least acknowledges, like, yeah, it's my fault. I got kind of trigger happy. But Sin and Crossbones, they run away from this whole thing, while Cap and Sharon are fighting everybody. I think this is where we get the I see faster with the bullets. After this whole fight, we learned that 2 of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were killed. 1 is missing. And afterwards, they go back to the hotel because Cap recognized the woman in the picture as Gretchen Zeller, someone that he and Bucky fought with during the war. And that's why Bucky came here, because he loved Gretchen. We'll find out in this special that they knew each other for like a week, maybe.
Maybe.
And then never saw each other again. Yeah, really not sure how Cap recognized her, but hey.
I do love the way that scene worked where he's like, yeah, I thought your friend was a little confused. He's like, oh, because it seemed like he was in love with your mom. He's like, I guess that's.
Yeah, she's like, really... okay, this is weird now. What's going on here?
And then he like immediately is like, oh, I'm Captain America.
But I love how Sharon and him are wearing like their huge ass trench coats. Not so much in this issue, but definitely in the previous issue. Like over her shield costume and his Captain America costume, which I would be more suspicious of anybody wearing a trench coat than somebody rolling in with a shield costume. But you know, he's like, "Yo, I'm Captain America." She's like, wow. This makes sense. This is 1940s bullshit. Okay.
Wow. Vince out here profiling people who wear trench coats, I guess.
Yeah, it's that Iowa weather. You need to wear a trench coat to stay warm.
Yep. So we also learn that so Cap has kind of this theory that, like, how did Bucky end up here? Like, was he looking for this person? Would he have sources to find Gretchen? And he's kind of thinking like Nick Fury, while underground, has steered Bucky to this town, knowing he would discover the secret AIM lab and go fighting them, and that's his working theory here. Meanwhile, Crossbones has captured one of the SHIELD agents, the one that was missing, and they learn from the SHIELD agent that Lucan has killed the Red Skull, and Sin is upset about it. Sin wants to go kill the guy that killed her dad.
Right, and Cap and Sharon is like, I think he's here to like make peace with the girl that he loved because he's going on a suicide mission to kill Lucan. And then at the same time, Sin and Crossbones are like, what's the name of the guy that killed the Red Skull? Oh, this guy. So collision course, everybody's trying to get this guy, except they don't know that he actually is the Red Skull.
Yep, Red Skull's living in his body. Cool. So that's the three main issues that we're gonna read here, and then we're on to the Captain America 65th anniversary special. Which is just a really nice little story. Who did the art for this?
It'd be Javier Pulido and Marcus Martin. We recently covered Javier Pulido in the Hawkeye series. He did the 2-issue The Tape story, which I said, like, the eyes drawn on his character say that they're either Pulido or Marcus Martin, who are both Spanish-born, and they work together quite frequently, so their art styles are very similar, especially when they have the same colorist. And they're both great. Martin did like Doctor Strange The Oath, which we covered a long time ago, and then Pulido's been around for forever also.
Wow. Yeah, I really did not even realize that this book was going back and forth between different artists. Every chapter
consistent. Every chapter alternates them. I think Pulido also did Robin Year One, which we covered years ago. And then Martin filled in for him for a few pages.
Yeah, Martin did a Daredevil with Mark Waid. It was probably where most people would know him.
Yeah. He did I want to say not Brand he did some Amazing Spider-Man also for a few years also. And some stuff in The Private Eye with Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Well, did we mention the artist for the last three? It was Mike Perkins here, right?
Yeah, who is not Steve Epting, but like with the right coloring, because Frank Darmatis stole the colorist for this.
Yeah.
It's kind of indistinguishable. Like
Epting. Yeah.
You wouldn't know it was Steve Epting unless you're Chris, and I've been following Epting since CrossGen.
Yeah, Epting does the covers though.
Yeah.
Just read comics drunk, and you won't notice.
There's some weird faces going back now that we're looking panel by panel and being a little more analytic, but I didn't really notice at the time.
Yeah, I thought it was Butch Geis or Geese or however you say that guy's name, and until I looked at the credits, because he's the one that normally does the Epting impression on these Captain America books, but I guess he also wasn't available.
Let's jump into the 65th anniversary special. This is an issue that takes place fully in the past and during World War II, and just gives us some backstory on who this character of Gretchen Zeller was that Bucky was in love with. So they're in Germany for a World War II mission. Bucky takes a slug during some fight, and there's no doctor anywhere nearby, so Cap has to run 5 miles carrying Bucky to some doctor's house who they know is like part of the resistance. Oh yeah, they're like a resistance group that has called for help. So that's why, Captain America and Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan and all them are there to help this resistance group. And so Cap runs the 5 miles to the home where they know this resistance group is. And it turns out there's not really a resistance group. It's just this doctor and his daughter. And that's it. And they're like, oh, shit. We're kind of outnumbered. And it is a nice, like, kind of outnumbered little war story here about how they're going to survive and all that. But, the doctor helps Bucky. He's going to be fine. And while he's resting, they talk about what's been going on in their town. There is a scientist, Herman Dex, who's with the Red Skull. And they're digging for something at the ruins of this old castle that's in a mountain where some dude used to live, and the Red Skull's looking for something, and they think this doctor who's with them the scientist who's with them is there against his will. So that kind of sets up like everything that's going on here.
Yeah, it's very much a like Hellboy story where they're like, there's some sort of ancient evil if we dig dark enough and deep enough that we could awaken, maybe.
Yeah, I'm also on board with like it's just an Indiana Jones story with Captain America and the Indiana Jones role.
Yep. So then they're starting to get ready to go out here. We get a nice fun little scene with Gretchen and Bucky where Bucky is, still kind of hurting from his gunshot. He's not fully healed up, but he gets up and she's like, oh, you better not slow us down. You're going to be no help with the Nazis. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah. Little sexist there, but
tension.
I'll let it pay. He's like, I never knew girls were so good at combat and stuff. But he's also been living on army bases his entire life, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a little later too. Yeah, I do like pickup artist classic technique. Bucky is like he almost falls over from blood loss, around, and so she has to like catch him. So way to establish physical intimacy, Bucky. That's how you. That's right there. Tricks of the trade. Nag her. Establish this connection, and then you keep accelerating it, and you got them all, Bucky.
I do like her line of "Shall I hold you up while you save me from the Nazis as well?"
Yeah, she's awesome. I'm like, I don't understand why Bucky's the prize here, but she's pretty cool.
So meanwhile, Captain Fury, they go out. Oh yeah, they're all kind of out there. But Captain Fury do some surveillance in their tents. They take a pic of like some Nazi map that they can't read.
Where are they going to get this picture developed?
That's a great question. I don't know how that works. They've got shield technology. And some dude sneaks up on them, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And they have to kill this dude and run off with the body. And meanwhile, Gretchen and Bucky are investigating a library together, and they learn that the Baron who owned this old castle was an inventor. Lots of very Da Vinci-esque machines, and there's a giant robot monster protecting the bowels of the mountain too. Oh my god. So they get ready to kind of move in on the camp. They got to do it fast before they discover the dude they killed, and they do it in a pretty smart way because they're so outnumbered. This bothers me. Part 5, the chapter 5 says it's titled "A Two-Pronged Attack." But then they describe 3 prongs.
That's the second prong. It's actually 2 prongs. It's sneaky.
It's the second prong. We have Fury and Dum Dum Dugan. They attack head on while everyone's asleep. Cap goes in a little bit more deep, kind of looking for the Red Skull down in the mines. And Gretchen and Bucky kind of have their own thing going on. Ends up being real combat heavy, lots of sexual tension throughout the whole thing. They end up, saving the scientist, and they meet up with Cap. I didn't really write down any specifics from their fight scene. It was just like, good general stuff you kind of expect from they save the scientist, and they meet up with Cap. Cap was just shooting at the Red Skull, and Red Skull ran away saying, "The process has already started." And the doctor's like, "Oh my god, that means the robot's waking up." And we see this robot. It's a pretty cool robot. It's a nice 20s Pulp Fiction kind of robot here. I'm into it. It's big and cool, and Cap has to kill its heart,
which takes 2
really
pages. But
it's a great. It was a really nice fight scene for what it was here. Just I think because this whole thing, I wouldn't say this comic has muted colors necessarily, but compared to these issues with this big robot, these are super bright colors.
It's it's super saturated. There's no shading or anything. Yeah. Which is what I really like about Pulido and Martin also.
It's funny too. They have to read this old thing that's aim for the heart, and meanwhile it's this pulsing thing inside of its body that you can see. I'm what could it be? What could be the weak point of this robot?
Oh yeah, aim for the heart. Yeah, it's a little obvious. Like you said, nice fight scene, and that's the end. Gretchen and Bucky share a nice little kiss. They all say goodbye, And then we get a couple of epilogues here. We jump back into the present where Cap has been basically telling this whole story to Sharon and saying, yeah, Bucky never actually got to see her again, but I knew where he was planning to head after the war was over.
Yeah, I do like the sort of irony of like, Gretchen being like, you take care of yourself, Bucky. And he's like, you take care of yourself. I'll be fine. She's like, no, Bucky, you don't know.
You have no idea. And Sharon is also like, when talking to Cap in the future, she's like, wow, that must suck growing old or like waking up and seeing that your love grew old without you. Ooh. Cap is just like, yeah.
You just hook up with their nieces. It's fine.
And then we get our second epilogue here where Lucan, sitting in the back of the limo with the Red Skull inside of him, he's going looking for Dr. Doom, I guess, in Latveria.
No, specifically, that's the inventor of the robot.
Wait, what?
That's the inventor of the robot from 500 years ago.
Yeah, they're like, the plans, they're still valid. And they're like, how do you know? And he's like, look who made him. And it's Dr. Doom's like diagram of him.
Dun, dun, dun. So somehow Dr. Doom traveled 500 years back in time, because I guess he has a time machine. We learned that in Hulk, Future Imperfect last episode.
We've learned that in every issue of everything.
That's true, but Doom usually steals powers. He doesn't make robots, at least in my experience.
Yeah, it's a little off. Maybe he stole the robot.
From Leonardo da Vinci. That would make sense.
That makes sense. I would buy that.
Da Vinci.
That would be hilarious.
Doom versus Da Vinci? I would buy that.
That's what he would shout instead of Richards back in the 15th century.
Da Vinci.
Doom Vinci. That'd be a great story. I'd love that.
So, Doom Vinci. Maybe, how about Leonardo Doom Vinci? Double Doom in the middle.
I love it. I love the idea of Doom wearing like casual Renaissance clothing like over his armor. I love it all.
Oh, yeah. But that was it. A pretty small little bit of Captain America here, but we'll of course keep going with it. And anything else you want to say about these?
I generally think that this is kind of like a lull in this run. Like it's a little like, it's not the Winter Soldier. It seems like it's just kind of like a story that's kind of like spinning its wheels. That's, I think, why Chris also feels like, why do we have that Crossbones and Sin story? Because like the other story was just kind of like a beating up AIM agents kind of story. It didn't really move the plot forward. We could have like inserted that into the same place. We didn't have to have like a separate issue. Is kind of my feelings. I really like the 65th anniversary special though. I feel like it's just, Brubaker would be perfectly happy writing 1940s comics, Invaders comics, and just calling it a day. Which I think the end of his run ended up doing anyways, because the run kind of splintered. It turned, half the book turned into Captain America and Bucky, which I think was literally just 1940s adventures. And then he would write like present day up stories also. But this is good. The art's fun on the 65th anniversary special. I'm glad they made it. And it was big, I remember at the time. It was like a big volume.
Yeah, I do. Like, I don't know. I wasn't at whatever Marvel meeting in 2005 or 6 or whatever, but I do wonder, like, if they're like, no, we should make this into like a special thing instead of just having this be like, a 2-part issue of Captain America. Because the 65th issue or 65th anniversary issue is really good, but I do wish it was like integrated better into the main story. Right. Like, it's just like completely free hanging. And I feel like narratively it is probably the weakest of this so far because of that. But if it was just that, it would just be fine on its own. Like, it's the actual monthly book that I think is worse as a result.
Right. This book is very fragmented because the next episode, whenever we get back to this again, because this is collected as Red Menace Part 1, and then there's also a Red Menace Part 2, which I think is issues like 18 to 21, so another 4 issues. And then a long special with Bucky called Winter Soldier, Winter Kills. So the book is like fragmented and hard to collect, and it's terrible on Marvel Unlimited. It's just kind of spinning its wheels until Captain America gets killed. Spoiler alert.
No.
And then it gets fucking great.
Then we're really...
When you kill the main character, that's when the book gets good.
That's when things get good. But I think it's time we... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it is funny, too, because Steve, for like forever, has been such a like the least interesting character, but I actually do like Steve in this series. Like, this is the most I've ever liked Steve Rogers, like, guy.
Right.
Yeah, so let's jump on over to another very likable character, Scrooge McDuck. Like we said, it's we're on issue 12 of the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, the very end of it. We have it's Christmas. It is we get this news story on Christmas Day about the very reclusive Scrooge McDuck. And this whole news story kind of also acts like a recap of where we're at with the whole story about how he's been on adventures. He's rich. His family's left him though, and he's since the last issue. How long has it been? It's been like long enough.
17 years, they said. So we're in 1947. The last issue ended in 1930.
Yeah, this issue takes place. I mean, I guess technically the last page of Christmas on Bear Mountain is basically this whole issue fits in between that the first Scrooge we read, which I think was that one, the Christmas 47, which is his first appearance.
Yeah, so a lot of time has passed, and I love Donald in this news story. Donald's in this comic a lot as well. And,
and he's not doing that talk.
He's not. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe
I'm hearing it in my head, it had been, so I don't understand what you're saying.
I've never been able to put any syllables around that. I don't know how. Never been able to ever say a word on that.
It's that you just talk from that whatever it is on the complete side of your mouth.
Yeah, I don't know the artist, the vocal artist on Kingdom Hearts. I mean, he's the same Donald Duck speaker, anyways. But Kingdom Hearts was not meant to be spoken in Donald Duck's voice, and probably this book isn't either, because it treats Donald Duck like he's not talking that way.
Yeah. So it's Citizen Kane though. It's just Citizen Kane.
I've never seen a movie, so I don't know.
Yeah, all the newsreel stuff, like that's literally the beginning of Citizen Kane.
It is.
Even to the point where he's looking at a snow globe and says gold. Like it's so flagrantly a Citizen Kane reference.
Yeah, well, Kia, the greatest movies of all time are Paddington 2 and then Citizen Kane. So if you just start at number 1, you'll get Paddington 2 and then Citizen Kane. Just go down the list when you start watching movies.
Paddington Bear?
Yeah, Paddington 2 is the highest rated film of all time.
But if you watch the first 8 seasons of The Simpsons, really starting in season 2, you'll get all the big jokes you need to get from Citizen Kane. You'll get all the references.
Yeah, and listen to the White Stripes, The Union Forever, because that is made up of nothing but lyrics from Citizen Kane.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember that. I'm not interested in gold mines, oil wells,
shipping or real estate.
Yeah. That's all I know.
I'd like to have been everything you ate, just like Scrooge McDuck.
But all right, let's get to the ducks. We got Huey, Dewey, and Louie. They're
that was Donald Duck singing that to Uncle Scrooge.
No, my God. Huey, Dewey, and Louie and their Uncle Donald are walking to Scrooge's place, and they're asking him, like, "Hey, what's Scrooge really like?" And Donald says, I only met him the once. And he's remembering from the last issue when he kicked him in the butt. It's a great fan. I love it. And then they're like, yeah, he's kind of a reclusive jerk, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, then why did he let us spend Christmas Eve last night in his cabin on Bear Mountain? And why did we get an invitation to Christmas dinner today? So I appreciate the work that Carl Barks is doing Don Rosa is doing to bring this all and make it fit into the universe. We get a lot of that here. But they're like, yeah, I bet Scrooge is just kind of crazy in his old age here. Donald also doesn't believe that any of Scrooge's stuff is real. He thinks he just inherited his wealth, and he's like, yeah, you're just a shitty old man, Scrooge. Scrooge is grumpy when they finally meet him. But the kids, they go and they give him a hug. They love their Uncle Scrooge, but he, he's not really having it yet. We see a lot of stuff up on the wall. There's an Eisner Award for the life and times of Scrooge McDuck on the wall. What? How? What? I don't understand.
Good joke.
Because how do you explain this? Obviously a fake. That's my panel of the week. Panel of the week right there. It's beautiful.
And they find his first dime, and they're like, oh yeah, it's his lucky dime, and he takes great offense to that. He's like, it's not luck, it inspired me to work hard. I got this dime, and it still took me 20 years to get rich, so it wasn't a lucky dime. And then they go see the money bin. Tons of money in there, 100 feet deep. There's bulldozers sitting on top of all the coins there, I guess, to push the money around when you need to. but it does give you a nice sense of the scale of this place. It's massive.
Yeah, I do like Donald is just being like so shitty, where he's just like, yeah, probably spent all your money on this house. What a waste. And like, just keeps making these little jabs, and Scrooge is like, just keep talking, buddy.
Yep. And Scrooge was also like, yeah, this isn't even all my money. I've got, plenty of stuff
oil mines
all over the world,
gold mines, shipping and real estate.
All that.
This is just the money he hasn't, invested, that he has not spent.
And he's like, yeah, this is all the money that I like personally like get like all the treasures that I gathered. I couldn't bear to spend it or anything like that. But who comes in behind them but the Beagle Boys?
No, Santa Claus. Show up and Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's 8 Santa Clauses. And they take off their masks, and it's the Beagle Boys is underneath. Oh my god.
With their little prison uniforms underneath with their numbers. I love it. It's so fucking dumb, and that makes me so happy.
And there's a lot of them now because Blackheart Beagle has grown kind of old, and he's got a bunch of grandchildren now, and they're all criminals. And they tie up the ducks. They run off. They don't tie them up. I think they just kind of lock them up. And now, we basically get Scrooge proving how great of an adventurer he is. He uses his pickaxe to chop down the door. They chase them, and he uses his boomerang to get some stuff. He uses his lasso. He uses golden goose egg and throws it at them. All sorts of good stuff.
He's like, one of the nephews is like, "Oh, that Wild Bill Hickok could have been your teacher." And he's like, "Pupil."
Yeah, beautiful.
Yep. Good stuff. They finally, take down the Beagle Boys. They wrap them up for the cops. And then, afterwards, the nephews feel kind of sorry that there's no adventure left in the modern world for this great adventurer that is their uncle. And he just kind of has to sit there and be an antique. And oh boy, Scrooge does not like to hear that. They've awakened a rage in Scrooge. He going on a rant. He kicks Donald in the butt too. It gets him back to kicking him in the butt. Another great panel. And he's awake. This book ends not the way I expected, somewhat anticlimactically. Scrooge jumps down into his gold and does his swimming bit in there. And the nephews are like, it's kind of sad that he's collected all this with nothing else really to show for it. But he's happy with all his memories of all his adventures. That the last panel is just him laying in his gold, recalling kind of every chapter of the story. A real nice little ending. I don't know what I expected, but it just kind of ended. I don't know. I wanted more, but I guess that's what a good book should do. Leave you wanting more.
I was gonna say there is more on Disney Plus. There's 5-6 seasons of DuckTales, and then
there's the classic DuckTales, and then which 65 episodes, and then the 3 seasons of
3 seasons of Disney's DuckTales that just came out recently. Further Adventures of Scrooge McDuck.
I for a second I thought they were referencing DuckTales in this comic because they were like, "Hey, is that where they it's kind of like what they said on that show or something like that?" They said, and then I was like, "Are they referencing DuckTales?" But then I remembered the news story show they were watching earlier, so it's not a reference to the show.
But it is. I mean, it is setting up a ground zero point of why is this old man having all these adventures with these kids?
Yes.
Right? Is that he's just like, no, I will have adventures again.
Yeah.
I think though it is everything I want out of an ending and a final chapter of a story. I don't know if it's necessarily the best told, but it's exactly what I want. I want a perfect reflection of everything that happened before. Every chapter is integrated into this final story. And I really like that. I like that every single part of his adventures were shown to be integrated into the final fight with the Beagle Boys. He had the pickaxe, he had the boomerang, he had the golden egg. So it was a big callback to this is where we've come from. The newsreel says this is how far we've come. Donald doesn't feel that it's real. And so it brings me back to be oh yeah, the last 11 episodes we've covered of this show, we did all this with Scrooge McDuck. And then he has all these treasures and he's a money grubber, but they all represent different memories and different reasons why he's lived and the different richness of his life. And that's why the money bin matters. And I think that that's just perfectly beautiful to end the story on.
Right. Yeah. And it does a good job of, know so much more about this character and you sort of connect with him. And like, yes, it's very much like a sort of a Forrest Gump where he just like stumbles over all these famous people everywhere he goes.
Right.
But it's still just like, it does place it in a time where you realize like, I guess, yeah, you could, if you were like 70 years old in the 40s, you could have known, cowboys from, Wild Bill Hickok's show. You could have known Deadwood characters.
Right.
Like
you definitely grew up
insane as
before
it
electricity,
seems.
the same way we grew up before the internet.
Yeah, like it seems completely insane, and you're like, but that was like hundreds of years ago, right?
Right.
Well, no, it's like 60 years ago. Yeah, it's just the same way when people say, I mean, and now it's like almost, people that remember it are, Uncle Scrooge's age, but people who remember like the 60s and like the civil rights era, where you're just like, wow, like that wasn't, that was in recent history.
Right. Segregation. People are 60 years old who lived through segregation. It's fucking insane. But yeah. But yeah,
I was.
It's just beautiful. It's just like a richness of a whole life, like reflecting on how, like, oh, poor Scrooge, all he has is this money. It's like, no, these are all like different trinkets and like remembrances of it. And honestly, that's why I loved the season finale of DuckTales season 1 was an episode where Scrooge did something to the nephews, and I can't remember what now. But like they had turned on him and they literally threw every treasure they had gotten from the season in the ocean. And I thought that was just like a perfect reflection of the whole season. Like, this is what we got this, trinket, we got this thing, we had this adventure together, and we're throwing it all away because Scrooge is an asshole. And I thought that was just like a really cool way to say, like, this is how far we've come. Is by letting me know.
Vince, you should watch Young Justice. I know we've talked about it a lot before, but that does that sort of thing too.
Is Scrooge Mcduck in that as well?
He's in it. Yeah, he's the main guy.
Wow.
What I wanted to say about this, it's like the first half of this, the first 6 issues. Yeah, I feel like we were kind of settling into a little bit of a formula with these books of like, okay, he goes on an adventure, he gains some treasure, for whatever reason he loses it, back at square one. And the back half though, every issue felt really, really different from each other in a way that I just kind of wasn't expecting each time. And I don't know, I thought that was just very impressive, especially these last few that really just kind of things kept changing on a dime. Not a pun. It's not even a fun. Okay. And what else was I going to say? Oh, to speak to what y'all were saying about living behind the times. I was going to go running the other day, but I couldn't get my headphones to work. And I was like, how can I go running without headphones? And I was like, wow, people used to do it all the time, I guess.
I don't think I could ever gone running prior to because like iPods had like the little hard drive spinning disc in them. That wouldn't have been functional. I think I required like a flash memory to be able to like run and distract myself.
Yeah. Crazy. But so that's Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. And anything else you want to say about it?
There's a second volume hardcover I bought, Chris, which I guess is just other stories Don Rosa wrote that take place in these similar time frames but aren't part of this 12-issue continuity. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, there's a whole it's called Complete Life and Times Volume 2. I'm assuming it's probably got more Goldie stories in it or something. Because that always seems weird. Is like Goldie is so important to him, but I don't really remember her more than like a page or two in this book.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh yeah, she's on the cover of this thing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I've told the story before. When we started this run, and probably years before that. These graphic novels are, I think, the only like non-single issue comics that I ever sold for a profit. Right. I've sold issues of comics for money and made money before, but I actually sold volumes 1 and 2 for like $150 or something.
Wow.
Like something absurd when they were out of print, and I was just like, I needed money. And I was like, well, these are good books, but I need to pay rent, so.
Yeah,
Makes
I have
sense.
I've spent thousands of dollars on comics. I'm sure when they're $4 a piece, and there's a few that are worth a few $100s, like the first appearance of Miles Morales and like the first issue of Saga. But other than that, they're all worth nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. Not.
I mean, the other than that, the only ones I can think of that really made money was Walking Dead #1, and Wanted #1, and then I just bought all of Secret War 1980s version at a garage sale. Like I was like, thumbing through, and I'm like, do they have a Black Spider-Man issue here? Because if it is, they don't know what they have, and they did.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'll take all 12 of these, please, and then immediately flipped that one to a comic store for like $150.
Yeah.
I think I have that, but it's like not good, not great quality. It's like falling apart or whatever. So I'm just like, I'm happy to just keep it. All right. So what are we doing next time? We got a lot of new things to get into next time. Actually, no, we're continuing the Age of Apocalypse. We're going to get back into that. We want to make sure we don't leave these ongoing stories that we're reading hanging for too long. So we are going to get back into the world of the Age of Apocalypse. We are going to be reading the miniseries called Astonishing X-Men, number 1 through 4. That's not the Joss Whedon series from the mid-2000s. This is just one of the Age of Apocalypse miniseries. Do we know like which team Astonishing X-Men follows?
No idea.
This was the Uncanny X-Men team, so I think it's Joe Madureira. I don't know if he does all 4 issues or just some, because he was famously had deadline issues. And then I think Scott Lobdell would have still been on it. I'm not sure though.
Cool. So we're gonna
check me on that, Vince.
I will.
We'll correct it next time if when we're there. And so we're gonna read those 4 issues as our main read, and then we're also going to start our next long read, which is going to be the Korvax Saga from the late 70s. Here, we specifically picked this because of the news about George Perez, the unfortunate news that he has was it skin cancer, I believe. Or just cancer of some sort.
I don't know. It's terminal though. He probably. I think doctor said he won't make it out of the next year. So.
Oof, yeah. And we've obviously read tons of Perez throughout this podcast here, but we definitely wanted to pick something else to make sure that we can remember his work a little bit more, and also just pick something of his that we hadn't read before. So we thought the Korvax Saga might be a nice choice. I don't really know much of anything about it other than what Chris told us, that is a Guardians of the Galaxy character who has a saga.
He has a saga. Roger Stearns wrote at least the first issue we'll be reading, which is Story Annual number 6, and Chris loves his Roger Stern. So
he is one of my favorites.
So worth mentioning which issues and everything this takes place in. It starts with Thor Annual number 6, which is written by Roger Stern and Len Wein with art by Sal Buscema. And then after that, we get into the whole main thing, which is in Avengers 167, 168. Then it skips 169 and goes from 170 to 177. So what is that? 10 issues?
It's 11 issues total.
Thor Annual?
Yeah,
okay.
11 issues total. So we're just doing Thor Annual next episode, though.
Yeah, next time just the Thor Annual number 6. But those Avengers issues that we're going to get to are written by Jim Shooter and David Michelin with art by George Perez. So he's doing the bulk of the main thing. But so next time, Astonishing X-Men 1 through 4.
Which
Thor
is
Annual
by
number
Scott
6.
Lobdell and Joe Madureira, which I don't think we've ever covered Joey Mads. So
Joey Mads.
I don't think so.
Artist on Darksiders, the video game.
And he did Matrix storyboards.
Did he really?
I feel like we've said Joey Mads on this show before. So maybe, I don't know. I feel like we've done something of his.
I might be thinking of Steve Scroce.
I know that Joey Mads did the first issue of Ultimates 3, written by Jeff Loeb, and I was like, I am out immediately.
that was his return to comics. Yeah, he very famously did manga art in the 90s. That, as you know, I had read Jim Lee and I loved it, and then I was tricked. I was led down a primrose path by Joey Mads doing even more manga art. I was like, wait, this doesn't look like Jack Kirby art to me. What? We've been tricked.
Well, we'll get his take on the X-Men. It's an alternate version of the X-Men, so it's okay if they're off model.
Morph is always off model. So Morph is kind of the breakout. He'd been on the cartoon more than he'd been in the comics at this point.
Oh.
Didn't he die in the first episode?
He they think he's dead at the end of the first 2-parter, but then he comes back, Vince. Okay. Come on. Everybody knows, and then Mr. Sinister brings him back, and he's got big circles under his eyes. He looks like shit. He looks like an alcoholic.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, this was
Morph?
season two of the X-Men cartoon. His Morph comes back, and Wolverine, of course, famously looks at a picture of Morph and goes, Morph!
I know that.
Well, I just searched. I don't know why I searched Morph animated, and I got this weird orange Gumby looking dude, and that's not who we're looking for here. So
that's not what you want.
Never mind, Morph.
That also, I know it feels kind of strange, after ending on a serious note with George Perez, but I saw recently all the voice cast from the X-Men 90s show has been posting like on Twitter and Instagram and stuff that they're back. Like Wolverine is back, Rogue is back.
Right? Aren't they making a new Disney Plus series or something?
Yeah, all these Canadians who voiced the X-Men 25 years ago are going to be voicing the X-Men again. This year or next year. Insane.
All right, that's fine. I'll say the voice acting isn't really what I remember from that show as being the good.
Tell me.
There's no good parts, Kia.
Tell me that you don't read every Rogue dialogue like it's the Rogue voice actors.
Yeah. I don't read them like Anna Paquin. I'll tell you that.
You're not hearing Anna Paquin in your head.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. All right. Well,
call me when Spider-Man 94 comes back. I'm all about
30 years older. I'm sure they sound great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's
professionals, Kia.
You're right. Their voices are, I'm sure, still great. What else do we have to talk about here? Vince, was there another that was
not yet? I haven't posted the January episode, although I'm hard at work on Donkey Kong Land, which is the Game Boy inspired sequel to Donkey Kong Country. It's a game that tries to do the Donkey Kong Country graphics with the 4-color Game Boy to disastrous results. Although the game is pretty good.
How's the music? Are there any?
It's fucking bops. It's really good. They don't have the awesome underwater theme, but the rest of it's still there, and all its 8-bit glory. It's still good. The music is good.
Yeah. I will mention off of that the Games Done Quick annual marathons just happened, I think, last week or so. I was particularly inspired by the Tasmania speed run. It's only about 10 minutes or so.
Shit, that's behind the back, isn't it? Like a Mode 7 racer or something?
I only know that the music is absolute dog shit. It must be heard. You must listen to this music.
I've been thinking about covering Tasmania for a few years now because I saw that. I think it's behind the back. It looks almost 3D for Super Nintendo. It's pretty crazy.
Like the Lion King level where he's being chased by the Stampede.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that sounds not fun.
Chris, how's your Stupid Minds doing?
It's doing well. I don't know if we have not recorded it yet, so I don't want to give away what episode we're doing. But we may be doing a Disney young adult movie in the near future, if not this month, then the month after. So if you want, classic content like our Nutcracker episode that came out last month, or like our God, what else have we done? We've done plenty of young adult stupid crap.
I feel like we've been talking about the Nutcracker for 3 months.
It's been 3 episodes, yeah. But the New Mutants is still an episode y'all recently covered.
Yeah, well, and of course, the New Mutants was a 2021 episode with special guest and friend of Vince and I, Matt Monagle. So if you want to check out other young adult crap like that and hear Matt Monagle's demented takes about young adult content that he enjoys as a full-grown 37 or 38-year-old man that he should go to prison for liking. Look, if you love the Maze Runner that much, maybe that you should
go to prison.
Yeah, maybe you should have to run a maze of your own.
I liked Maze Runner 1. I didn't like Scorch Trial, so I never saw The Death Cure. But where are you going to be?
It's apparently great. It's apparently great, Vince.
Go to jail. Straight to jail. Directly to jail.
Believe it or not, jail.
Well, all right. I think that's all we've got for tonight here. Listeners, thanks so much for listening. Vince, I love you.
Love you so much.
Chris, I love you.
I love comics.
Wow, you know what? I do too, Chris. I love comics. And listener, we love you. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye.